The 20th century arrives with accelerating technological change. The Wright brothers plane lifts off from Kitty Hawk for a few brief seconds, launching an age of aviation that will culminate in supersonic flight. Edison's laboratory invents the phonograph and practical electric lighting, transforming both entertainment and daily life. Ford's assembly lines produce automobiles for the masses, creating a new culture of mobility and consumer goods. The camera doesn't flinch from documenting two devastating world wars, showing both battlefield horrors, trenches filled with poisonous gas, cities reduced to rubble by aerial bombing, and civilian suffering through displacement, genocide, and atomic devastation in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In the post-war period, the camera captures the space race as Soviet and American rockets compete for the heavens, culminating in Neil Armstrong's first steps on the lunar surface. The civil rights movement marches through American streets demanding dignity and equal protection under law, while independence movements across Africa and Asia dismantle colonial empires that once spanned the globe. Television brings world events into living rooms in real time, creating a new global consciousness. The Berlin Wall falls as the Cold War ends, symbolizing the victory of market capitalism over state socialism. The final sequences show the digital revolution, from room-sized early computers programmed with punch cards to smartphones connecting billions of people worldwide. The documentary concludes with scenes of contemporary life, highlighting both unprecedented global prosperity and urgent challenges like climate change, mass migration, and growing inequality, revealing how human civilization continues to evolve in an increasingly interconnected but precarious world. Pyramids rise from the Egyptian desert, block by massive block. Thousands of workers pull enormous stones up ramps as overseers coordinate their movements. The camera reveals the workers' village, where skilled artisans, not slaves as commonly believed, receive payment in bread and beer for their labor. The pharaoh watches from a distance, his divine authority unquestioned as he commissions this monument to eternity. Inside elaborate tombs, scribes paint hieroglyphics detailing the journey to the afterlife, while embalmers perform the sacred rituals of mummification. The scene shifts to the grandeur of Babylon, where Hammurabi stands before a stone still, dictating his famous law code to scribes. The camera zooms in on the cuneiform text, revealing a sophisticated legal system with scaled punishments based on social class. In the shadows of Babylon's hanging gardens, astronomers track celestial movements, creating calendars and predicting eclipses with remarkable accuracy. The camera follows a merchant caravan along the early Silk Road, showing how trade networks connect distant civilizations. Traders exchange not just goods but ideas, mathematics from India, administrative techniques from Persia, and religious concepts that transform as they move between cultures. In China, workers toil on the Great Wall under the watchful eye of Qin Shi Huang's officials, while elsewhere, iron workers forge weapons that revolutionize warfare, making conflict deadlier and more widespread. In a Greek agora, Socrates engages citizens in philosophical debate, challenging conventional wisdom with his probing questions. Nearby, Athenian citizens cast pottery shards in the world's first democratic vote. The camera follows Alexander the Great's armies as they march eastward, spreading Hellenistic culture across 3 continents. In Alexandria's great library, scholars from different traditions exchange knowledge, creating a cosmopolitan intellectual center. The camera moves to students gathered around Confucius in China, absorbing his teachings on moral governance and social harmony. In royal courts, his disciples apply these principles to statecraft. In India, the Buddha sits beneath the Bodhi tree, his face serene as he experiences enlightenment. The camera follows his disciples as they spread his teachings along trade routes, establishing monasteries from Sri Lanka to Central Asia. The might of Rome rises and expands, with legionaries marching in perfect formation across Europe. At Hadrian's Wall and the Rhine frontier, soldiers from distant provinces maintain Rome's boundaries. Engineering marvels appear across the empire, aqueducts spanning valleys, roads stretching to distant provinces. In Roman forums, citizens conduct business under standardized laws, while in the Colosseum, gladiatorial spectacles entertain the masses. But the camera also captures decline, as economic troubles mount, corruption spreads, and barbarian raiders press against weakening frontiers. Once mighty cities fall into disrepair as the classical age gives way to a new era. As Europe enters the Middle Ages, the camera pans across the Islamic Golden Age. Scholars in Baghdad's House of Wisdom huddle over Greek manuscripts, debating Aristotle's ideas while making their own revolutionary discoveries. Al-Khwarizmi develops algebraic equations, writing the text that will give algebra its name. In observatories, astronomers refine their understanding of planetary movements, while physicians like Ibn Sina, Avicenna, compile medical encyclopedias that will guide European medicine for centuries. Meanwhile, monks in European monasteries painstakingly copy manuscripts by candlelight, their illuminated texts preserving classical knowledge through what later historians would call the Dark Ages. In isolated scriptoria, Irish monks safeguard texts that would otherwise be lost to history. In Mesoamerica, Maya astronomers use complex mathematical systems to track celestial movements with astonishing precision, their calculations accurately predicting eclipses centuries in advance. In their step pyramid observatories, they align architecture with solstice sunlight. The camera captures Aztec priests atop massive temples in Tenochtitlan, performing rituals for agricultural abundance amid an ingenious system of floating garden agriculture. Across the ocean, Gothic cathedrals reach skyward in Paris and Chartres, their flying buttresses enabling walls of stained glass that cast colored light on medieval worshippers. Master masons pass their secrets through guild apprenticeships, while universities in Bologna and Paris establish new centers of learning. The Mongol armies sweep across Asia under Genghis Khan and his successors, creating the largest contiguous land empire in history. The camera follows the devastation of cities like Samarkand and Kiev, but also reveals the Pax Mongolica that facilitates renewed trade and cultural exchange along the Silk Road. Merchants travel safely under Mongol protection, while diplomatic envoys like Marco Polo bring tales of far-off lands back to Europe. In China, the Song dynasty achieves unprecedented technological advancement. Printing presses mass-produce books, while innovations in agriculture, metallurgy, and shipbuilding create the world's most sophisticated economy. The camera follows ships with magnetic compasses, navigating through South China's sea trade networks. Meanwhile, West African kingdoms like Mali accumulate vast wealth through gold and salt trade. In Timbuktu, scholars collect libraries of thousands of manuscripts, while Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca, with caravans laden with gold, becomes legendary. The Renaissance transforms Europe as the camera zooms in on Leonardo da Vinci's workshop, where the artist-inventor sketches flying machines and anatomical studies based on forbidden human dissections. In Florence's bustling markets, bankers develop new financial instruments, while Medici patrons fund artistic innovations. Ottoman cannons breach Constantinople's walls in 1453, ending the thousand-year Byzantine Empire and sending Greek scholars fleeing westward with ancient texts. In the Americas, Spanish conquistadors led by Cortés and Pizarro encounter and ultimately destroy sophisticated indigenous civilizations, unleashing ecological exchange that transforms both hemispheres. European ships established global trade networks that changed the world economy forever, as Portuguese caravels round Africa to reach Asian spice markets, and the Manila Galleon connects the Americas with China, creating the first truly global economy. Steam engines chug and massive looms clatter as the Industrial Revolution transforms society. The camera follows James Watt as he refines his revolutionary steam engine in a Glasgow workshop, while in Manchester, automated spinning jennies replace traditional hand spinning. Coal-blackened miners descend into dangerous shafts to fuel this new age, while canals and railways create transportation networks that shrink distances dramatically. The camera pans across crowded factory floors, where women and children toil for 14-hour days, and growing urban centers choked with coal smoke rise where pastoral landscapes once stood. Workers organize for better conditions in clandestine meetings, while entrepreneurs like Josiah Wedgwood and Richard Arkwright amass unprecedented wealth through mass production techniques. Political revolutions sweep across continents, inspired by Enlightenment ideals of liberty and equality. In France, crowds stormed the Bastille amidst bread shortages and economic crisis, unleashing revolutionary fervor that will topple monarchies across Europe. The camera captures the declaration of the rights of man and citizen being drafted, while showing the later excesses of the Reign of Terror. Across the Atlantic, colonial leaders in Philadelphia draft and sign a Declaration of Independence, launching a revolutionary experiment in Republican government. The camera doesn't shy from contrasting revolutionary rhetoric about freedom with the realities of indigenous displacement and enslavement. It captures the horrors of the transatlantic slave trade, overcrowded ships, auction blocks, and brutal plantation labor, followed by emancipation movements and civil wars over human rights. In Haiti, formerly enslaved people, led by Toussaint Louverture, fight for and win their independence, establishing the world's first Black republic. The camera pans over the vast African savanna as the narrator introduces the earliest human ancestors. A small band of early Homo sapiens moves cautiously through tall grass, their eyes scanning the horizon for predators. They communicate through simple gestures and primitive vocalizations, their tools rudimentary but effective. As a young man carefully knaps flint to create a cutting edge, the narrator explains how tool-making and cooperative hunting gave humans that evolutionary advantage. As seasons change and millennia pass, the camera follows these early humans as they migrate across continents. Groups cross land bridges during ice ages, adapting to vastly different environments, from frigid tundra to lush forests. In the caves of Lascaux, an artist presses pigment-covered hands against stone walls, leaving handprints among painted bison and horses. The artwork reveals not just aesthetic sensibility, but symbolic thinking. The camera traces human movement to the fertile valleys between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, where a woman kneels beside a patch of wild wheat. Noticing how the fallen seeds have sprouted, she begins to deliberately scatter seeds in cleared ground. Her discovery would change humanity forever. Nearby, hunters gradually tame wolf pups that linger near their camps, establishing the first domesticated animal relationships. The establishment of agriculture brings dramatic transformation. Villages form around reliable food sources, and the camera shows the gradual construction of the first permanent settlements. In Zatalhik, families crowd into mud brick houses accessible only by roof ladders, their walls adorned with bull skulls and vibrant murals. Children play in cramped alleyways, while craftspeople work specialized trades. The camera reveals how some members of these growing communities no longer need to produce food, allowing them to develop specialized skills. Meanwhile, in Mesopotamia, the first cities emerge, with Uruk's massive walls and ziggurats dominating the landscape. Social stratification becomes visible as the camera contrasts simple dwellings with elaborate temples and royal residences. A priest-king oversees the distribution of surplus grain from central storehouses, wielding power through control of resources. With settled life comes innovation. A potter's hands shape clay on a newly invented wheel, producing vessels in hours rather than days. A scribe presses a reed stylus into soft clay, recording grain distributions with the world's first writing system, cuneiform. The camera follows a merchant as he examines clay tokens representing goods, demonstrating how accounting needs drove literacy. In Egypt, surveyors use ropes to measure fields after Nile floods, developing practical mathematics and geometry. The camera finally zooms in on a copper worker's face, illuminated by the glow of his furnace as he ushers in the Bronze Age, his stronger tools laying the foundation for more complex civilizations to come.